So we are back live. Just waiting on you guys to hop into the chat. So, okay, yeah, I made it back. All right. We'll roll in 1 second. Okay, so yeah, now I'm not using OBS anymore, so I think I'm just gonna leave that alone going, forward in the future. Yeah, seeing everything seems to be going fine. No delays and none of that. But yeah, I finally get to go ahead and talk about the movie. I was gonna do a regular setup for my review, but I decided to just do it like this. Figured it'll be easier to get all of my thoughts out and about. What's up, Val? Small squad. Yeah. I just gotta assume that was OBS with all the extra noise and the delay and everything. That's really my second time trying to use that program, and I think I'm just leave that alone going forward. Um, yeah. Yeah, like last time I tried to do a discussion on this, I was just kind of all over the place talking about different things I liked and didn't like from the movie and everything. But this time I'm gonna try to do a more structured review for it. So but yeah, both of you guys saw it. But for anybody who might hop in the chat that's not watching or haven't seen the film yet, I will be talking about spoilers here. So if you don't want the movie spoiled or you haven't had a chance to see it yet, definitely go check it out and probably try to slide back here a little bit later. But yeah, going in, I expected like quite a few deaths and everything. I knew that going in, and the movie, it kind of played out the way I was expecting it to, but in other ways, it did kind of surprise me in a lot of ways. The way it was structured, I felt like they really did a good job, balancing the different three storylines that they really wanted to focus on. Um, the story with Thor, I felt like that was probably the weakest, story wise, because I felt like they probably could have cut that down a bit and not focus so much time on him getting his hammer and everything. But I really wouldn't know what to cut out because he does have a bit of downtime with Rocket and he gets to talk about his how he's lost everything, he doesn't have anything to live for and everything. So those are important scenes for the story, but I feel like they could have found a way to if they could have found a way to chop that down a little bit, the movie would have been a little bit easier to sit through because you're seeing it, the second and third time, and I really did kind of feel the runtime. But yeah, that was definitely probably the weaker out of the other three story plots. But yeah, for anybody who haven't seen the movie, it picks up right after Thor Ragnarok, with Thanos invading the Asgardian ship, and you don't get to see Thor put up a fight, but obviously the fight didn't go well for him. You see him stretched out on the floor by Thanos in the beginning, and then we get a nice fight scene with the Hulk, which it was okay. I felt like they could have did a little bit better with that as far as like justifying making that justify Hulk not wanting to come out for the rest of the film. But for what we do get, it's entertaining. Like they showcase that Thanos does have skills as far as fighting, and he is strong enough to hold his own with the Hulk. So it's that fight served its purpose with that. Um, from there, it's like the film really does maintain a pace for a certain bit. It never really slows down until about the time that we catch up with the Guardians. But when the Hulk touches down on Earth, and you catch up with Doctor Strange, and he brings Tony in on it and he brings Tony in on everything. I knew Loki was going to die. Yeah, yeah. I'm with Loki. That like I said, I just felt like they wrote it that way, where the script kind of dictated, for him to die in that way, because I honestly feel like he could have stayed off to the side, and if he would have remained quiet, I kind of feel like they would have forgot about him, because I kind of forgot he was out there until he, popped back out like, oh, you going to Earth? Oh, well, I can help, and it's like, yeah, you did, but um, I mean, his death served a purpose, so I guess it works, in that regards as far as context of the film, as far as a motivator for Thor, wanting to get his revenge on Thanos and everything. But yeah, that was kind of transparent from the beginning. Especially like I said, once he comes back on the scene and starts pledging his allegiance and everything, it's like, yeah, we know how this is gonna go. So, but I really like Doctor Strange and also Heimdall. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it, it, they made it kind of hard to care about Heimdall and the other Asgardians, like in Thor Ragnarok when they got killed off. You don't really feel that much for them, because it's just like they really didn't build them up to be characters all that much. They yeah, like I said, I figure Idris Elba, he's probably tired of the role at this point, so he just kind of like, yeah, you can kill me. You killed everybody else in Thor Ragnarok, and like I say, you just don't feel anything emotional for those deaths. They just kind of happen. Well, yeah, at least for me, that at least that's my perspective on it. Yeah, I think everybody do, Val. Everybody, saying to like him or love him. Yeah, he didn't have much character development there, but for what we got from him for the few films that he was in, I feel like they did a as good of a job as they could, I guess, with him not being the primary focus of the story. Um, but yeah, I really like Doctor Strange, even though I kind of felt like, okay, well, I'll get into my thoughts on him a little bit later, but I kind of got mixed feelings about him, but ultimately, I felt like he was one of the bigger players here, and he really got to kind of showcase what he's learned and some of his different abilities and stuff. And when he went one on one with Thanos there for a bit, that was pretty cool. But, but yeah, going in, this was not this is not really the movie I was expecting, but that doesn't mean it was a disappointment in any way. Um, yeah, well, yeah, I meant to do this earlier. I want to focus on the things that I didn't like in the film first. That way I can get that out of the way. The only real problems I have with the film were the representation of Wakanda. Like, I understand they wanted them to kind of focus on that being a ground battle, but they didn't use any of their weapons or technology in that fight. They ultimately really just had the force field around the city, and once they decided to open that up, they became just a traditional it became a traditional ground fight, and I didn't think that made much sense. But for the sake of story, I guess it works. But we did see them use a lot more technology in the Black Panther movie earlier in the year, so it was odd not to see them use any of that technology against the Black Order when they came. You didn't think it would be so fast. You didn't think what would be so fast. But, yeah, and like I said, that kind of stood out for me. That was a bit odd. And the music, that's kind of been like a running theme with Marvel movies. They just kind of use the most generic music they can find, and it the music just doesn't really have any. It doesn't add to the movie the way it does in other films, like Back to the Future, or Spider Man or Superman and Batman, things like that. Like, the movie is a bigger part of the film, and you remember those themes because they play such an integral role in the film. And it's like the Marvel movies, they really don't care about that too much. Like, they only really have a handful of themes that you can kind of remember off the top of your head, or if you hear that theme, like, okay, well, I know where that comes from. Like, maybe with the Avengers theme a bit, but I felt like they really should have did a little more with the music here, especially in some of the more emotional scenes. It's just like the music really kind of helps to sell that, and the music they chose for that really didn't do that. Um, what was my other problem? I had the Black Order. Like I was saying in my discussion video, I thought the Black Order was okay. They just they kind of went out, a little easier than what I thought they would. Like, they got to showcase what they can do when you initially see them, but from there, you just when it's time to get rid of them, they all went out pretty quick and pretty simple, and it's like I was expecting a bit more from that, but that's it didn't break the film, it didn't ruin the film, or be like, oh no, that's such a disappointment. It's disappointing, but I understand for the context of the film, they're not the main focus of the film, so it's not that important for them to shine or go out in a tough way or anything like that. But I was hoping they would have a little, just would have been a little more difficult to get rid of. But it's fine. I really like the Ebony Maw though. Like he, obviously was the standout of the group. And I wish they would have said their names, because if you're not a fan or you didn't follow the comics, or you don't know the characters from the comic books, you wouldn't know who they were. You wouldn't think they have names for the most part. They never are addressed by name, or call each other by name. So I don't know. That's I don't know. I don't know what to think about that with Marvel and that. But yeah, Ebony Maw, I wish he got to do a little bit more. I wanted him to do a little bit more, but for what we do get, I felt like he really, did a great job of standing out in the film. Um, yeah, I would say my only other complaint would be with Thanos, and it's because of the way he's portrayed. In the beginning, when we first meet him, he's shown to be ruthless and kind of cutthroat. He beats down Thor and the Hulk, and then he enjoys choking the life out of Loki. That's pretty evil, and it's then then to try to turn around and sell the idea that, oh well, he's really not that bad, or he's not really doing this to be bad. He's doing it to help and all that. I can't see a ruthless killer as a benevolent force who's trying to kill people to save the day. It didn't make any sense. Where in the comics, he likes death. He worships death. So he enjoys killing people and things like that. So it's pretty clear cut that he's evil. And here they tried to make him more sympathetic. And I really don't think you needed to do that. You know what I'm saying? He's the villain. You've been building up to him for about 10 years. So everybody was expecting him to be evil, and then to get him, the way that we see him, where, oh, I'm just doing this to be nice, and I'm the only person that can do it, and I'm not evil. I'm or, they call it mercy in the film and everything. Like, oh, you should. It's a privilege to be killed by him and everything, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, yeah, and I understand they felt most people would be off put by him, being in love with death, or the physical representation of death. But I mean, you got talking raccoons, you got guys, you got guys with metal arms and stuff. Like, yeah, I don't think that would be the straw that would break anybody back. Like, you literally have like the Black Order; they look like video game characters in the movie. So saying this guy's in love with death, I don't think that would have, like, okay, well, that's a little bit too much for me. Like, no. I feel like everybody would have been just fine with it. Yeah, it's just like, like I said, I really enjoyed his character, and I understand, what I'm saying, he articulated well what he wanted to do and why he wanted to do it. Like, oh, my home world, they didn't listen to me, and as a result, this ended in ruin. So the places that I do this with, like Gamora's home planet, oh, everybody eats now. Nobody's overpopulated. Nobody's doing this, that, and the other. And it's like, I get it, but at the same time, well, I say that for the end, because that's something that is a point that I was arguing with people online, because that's a bit this is a big thing that's been bothering me since the movie too. The backlash for Star Lord, like everybody is like, oh, it's his fault, and this is they were so close, and well, honestly, if we looking at this as a film, Oh, no problem. Catch you next time, Val. Really appreciate you coming through. Small squad. Thank you for the support. I'll catch you guys later. It's all love. Thank you for stopping by when you could. But yeah, the backlash against Star Lord, I felt like that it's unnecessary and unwarranted. It's like, yeah, you had an emotional response, but it's not out of character. And of course, nobody's gonna think rationally in a situation like that. We got Anna in the chat. What's up, Anna? Another member of the small squad. Well, yeah, everybody's like, oh, he's stupid, or he's a douchebag, or it's his fault, and this, that, and the other. Well, I can point out a few things that could have made this thing play out a little differently. Doctor Strange, he had the time stone the whole time, and during that, he didn't use the time stone at all when they were on Titan at all, like not once. And he could have froze time, he could have rewound time, he could have did anything to offset, Star Lord doing what he did. So in a way, Doctor Strange kind of let that play out the way that it did. And then two, another person you can blame this on, other than Star Lord, who I felt like, yeah, if you want to blame somebody, you can. Even though I don't feel like anybody's at blame, I feel like it was going to happen, no matter who did what or what they chose to do or didn't do. It was going to play out this way, which is kind of what Doctor Strange was trying to tell them. But Thor, when he throws his hammer down and or his axe and catches Thanos in the chest, hey, you could have cut off his arm and took the gauntlet off. You could have hit him in the head like he told you should have. So you did enough to stop him, and then you gave yourself time to get down there and brag about it. So if you don't take that course of action, which was an emotional response, because yeah, it's understandable. Yeah, he took everything from you. You want to go down there and let him know that you happy that you're the one that got him, but at the same time, because he did that, he got to snap his finger, and the end of the movie happens. So yeah, exactly. The movie would have ended if they get the glove off and everything. And like I said, it's other means. Like if that's the case, they could have. Iron Man had a sword, blade, whatever. He could have tried to cut his arm off instead of trying to pull the gauntlet off. You could just cut his arm off. Pretty sure that would have worked just fine. So I'm not understanding the hate or the blame in that situation, as if realistically we were expecting them to win in that moment, or it's Star Lord's fault. So no, I don't agree with that, and I think that's kind of nonsense. And yeah, I feel like anybody would have had that response for the most part. And like I said, we saw that from Iron Man in the Civil War movie. You had a response to his to finding out his parents got killed by Bucky. So yeah, logically it's not Bucky's fault, but you have an emotional response in that moment. So I feel like if that's understandable, then Star Lord's situation should have been understandable. We got Kay Denise in the chat. What's up? Uh, uh, yeah, those were my only few problems with the movie. But outside of that, you get a lot of great action. Like the once Thor gets his axe, he pretty much wins the Wakanda battle by itself. He got a lot of really cool looking scenes. You get to see Rocket and the Winter Soldier. They got a quick team up where he picks them up and spins around. He got a lot of good comedy in the movie. So if you're a fan and you've been following the movies, I would definitely recommend it off the strength of that. But if you're not really a Marvel fan and you're not really into the comic book movies, then I wouldn't. Yeah, I couldn't recommend this one too high for you, because they don't do much character introduction, and if you're not familiar with the stories leading up to this one, you're not going to get much story out of this, and you're not going to care about anything that happens or any of the deaths and everything, because you're going to be looking like, who are these people, and why that would be kind of like jumping into the middle of a sitcom, or your favorite TV show, but you hop in on season 4, so you don't know anybody. They're not introducing anybody. They're not slowing the show down to baby step you into the format. So it's like, I wouldn't say this is the movie you should hop in. If anything, at least watch like Civil War and Thor Ragnarok and probably the Avengers before watching this one, and you should be good to go. You felt bad for Hulk? Um, I felt like Hulk he could have put his big boy pants on and did a little more, but in the bigger picture, I feel like they made that choice not to bring him back out for budget reasons because I'm pretty sure it took a lot of money to make Thanos look as good as he did, and to add on top of that, you got to animate the Black Order and Iron Man and Black Panther and Doctor Strange and Thor. That's a lot of CGI, so they was able to kind of circumvent that by making an excuse for the Hulk to stay hidden. So it works for the narrative, but at the same time, I understand that was a budgetary reason. But um, yeah, I would say my favorite characters from the film would probably be Doctor Strange and Iron Man, but I really enjoy what they did with Star Lord there. Like his relationship with Gamora, they built up on the things that we saw in the previous films, and kind of continue that storyline. And I'm interested to see where that goes in the future. I'm really interested to see what they do in Part Four or Avengers Four because I have no idea what they're gonna do with that or where they go from here. But when you see people like Spider Man and Black Panther die, then obviously they're gonna come back in some way because they already had them slated for sequels and everything. So in the next one, I'm expecting to see like not Iron Man, but well Iron Man of course, but like Ant Man, Hawkeye. You get Captain Marvel, so I'm expecting to see more people there. Yeah, I'm going. I can't wait to get my tickets for Captain Marvel because I got to see what all she's gonna bring to the table and how they gonna handle her storyline fitting in with everybody else's. Um, but yeah, as a rating, I mean, that's crazy. I've spent all this time thinking about the movie and really breaking it down and replaying it and everything, and never really thought about the rating I would give it. Oh no, I did for a bit. Like I said, it's not perfect. It does have some flaws, and seeing it for the second and third time, I can definitely see where the runtime kind of can weigh down on you. And yeah, like when you first watch it, especially if you've been looking forward to it and excited for it, you you kind of breeze through the first viewing because so many shocking things happen, and you don't know what to expect. You don't know who's going to die in the next scene or how intense the next scene is going to be. So as a fan, you don't feel the runtime at all. But watching it the second and third time, it's like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see where people would kind of get a bit bored or lose a bit of interest, or especially with the like I said, the parts where Thor is building his hammer and everything. Like you do get a bit of a lull throughout the film, but it's not it's brief in the bigger scheme of things. It's not. It doesn't really drain on you, or But I understand like everybody's not as big of a fan of it as some people are, so with that in mind, I understand how some people would be a bit bored or like, yeah, it's okay, but it was a bit much. But yeah, it's like I said, it's not perfect. It does have some flaws. It didn't live up to all of my expectations, but I just yeah, I saw it three times. Um, but yeah, I would still say Captain America: The Winter Soldier is my favorite MCU movie as far as the story and the action and everything. I just felt like that was the best film, both story wise and action wise. Like it didn't have any real drop offs there or anything like that for me. And here, like I said, there's not many drop offs and stuff like that. I would say this is about I would probably want to say about a 8.8 probably. Getting out of that ups. Okay. Appreciate you coming through. More support from the small squad. If you guys in the chat and you're not familiar with her, you should definitely check out our channel if you're into beauty and things like that. She got a great beauty channel over there. Um, but yeah, I would say I would get us about a 8.8, 8.8, just a little bit under a 9 because yeah, definitely excited to see what they do in the next one, but it definitely couldn't be a perfect one for me. 8.75. That sounds about right. Sounds about right. Um, yeah, that's that was pretty much my thoughts. It's a ton more I can go into it. Like if I really wanted to break it down, like how things end for Iron Man. Like I felt like he carried the most weight in the film. He probably got the worst hand because his team was full of people who don't listen to him. He felt responsible for Iron Man. Doctor Strange, he doesn't really want to cooperate with him or listen to, or he doesn't want to follow his plan as far because his plan was get the time stone away and run away with it, and he didn't want to do that. So because of that, he ended up being forced to kind of hand that over, and then you got the Guardians of the Galaxy. They literally weren't listening, during the planning process. So I felt like he pretty much had the worst hand in the film, and when everything the way it ends with everybody so many people dying off and everything like that, he just kind of was left alone to deal with the weight of that. And I would say Doctor Strange, his death in the movie was probably the most demoralizing because everybody else's death was shocking for the most part. Like Winter Soldier and Scarlet Witch is like, oh wow, wasn't expecting that. And then Black Panther dies is like, wow, like I wasn't expecting that. And then for all three of the Guardians to not three of the Guardians in addition to Gamora dying, that was surprising. And then when you get to Doctor Strange, I wasn't expecting him to die, especially going in. I wasn't expecting Doctor Strange to die, and then you see him die, and it's like he played such a big role here, and he had so much information, and was such a big part of the planning process and everything, and he knows how this is going to end. So to not really have him around to see how that plays out in the next one, it's like, yeah, that was a pretty big loss going into the next one, but. I guess the trade off is you get Captain Marvel, so hopefully she can help and, and try to facilitate something as far as a plan for stopping Thanos in the second one. But yeah, I would say Doctor Strange death was the most demoralizing, and Black Panther down was probably the most shocking because I definitely wasn't expecting them to to pull the trigger on that. I kind of suspected Spider Man would die going in. Yeah, I felt like they was going to do somebody big for shock value, and you kind of got that clip from that early Comic Con footage that shows Spider Man on the ground talking to Tony Stark. So I'm like, yeah, he could die in that scene. So I wouldn't be too surprised if he did. And then, like I said, you do get that, and he probably had the most emotional death. I felt bad for him when he died. I felt bad for Groot. Like, I felt bad for Rocket when Groot died. And I feel like that's the only reason that they really didn't make Groot a teenager, or that I felt like that was the only reason they made Groot a teenager in this one and didn't let him, remain a baby or, real little, because killing him off and then you to do that to baby Groot, like they probably would have received a lot of backlash about that and a lot of like fan outrage and everything. Yeah, I feel like if Teen Groot was pretty bad, especially seeing Rocket's reaction, but to see baby Groot fade away to dust, that would have been rough. But yeah, Black Panther was the most shocking death. I was expecting going in. I was expecting Captain America to die, either him or Iron Man. But the same when you see him, holding Thanos' glove, I was expecting him to get to die after that. Either from a punch or like when he got punched in the head, I thought he was dead. But he doesn't die. But going in, only people I really expected strongly to die was Loki, the Vision, and Gamora, because I kind of got wind of how the Soul Stone was going to work in the film. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. It wasn't confirmed like this was like early in the year, I believe, but or earlier last year or earlier this year, one of the two. But I didn't put too much weight in it, but it made sense. So I was like, I can see them going in that direction. So her death wasn't a surprise. It was, she had one of the sadder deaths in the movies because everybody's death isn't played up to be sad. Like Loki's death, like I said, I really didn't care about that because it just seemed so foreshadowed and transparent. Like I just didn't care. I was just like, okay, well, we going through the motions at this point. But Gamora, Spider Man, and Groot, I would say were the saddest deaths. And Doctor Strange and Black Panther and all of the Guardians. I wasn't expecting all of the Guardians to die. Um, I was definitely expecting Star Lord to live and be kind of a main player going into the second film. But when he faded away, I was like, wow. I I probably said wow like 30 times in the last 10 minutes of the movie because it was that surprising. Like wow, like the hits just kept coming. Like starting with Bucky, and I was just like wow, they really took it to the max on this one. But you got the core of Avengers still alive, and like I said, I'm interested to see what they do in the next one. So looking forward to seeing that. But I think I'm gonna end things here, guys. We're going on 30 minutes. I went back kind of quick, but definitely appreciate everybody stopping by and checking out the stream and chatting in the comment section. Appreciate the support. Shout out to the small squad. I see C Star Rose couldn't make it. Hopefully she can make the next one. She was here earlier, but the stream we was having stream problems, so hopefully she can catch the next one the next time I decide to do this one. So shout out to C Star Rose. Shout out to the small squad and thanks for watching, guys, and I'll definitely see you on the next one.